right, welcome to the FA40 podcast. I am your host, Josh Proch, and I was just looking, it's been about a month since we've done one of these. We've just been busy in here, a lot of different things going on. Tammy and I were on vacation for about 11 days, so there were kind of 2 weeks in there where we didn't get anything recorded, and then we've just had different things going on here in the gym and just been a little bit busier and things like that. But it's all been good. You know, we're back. We're going to get back into the routine here with these and everything. So again, I apologize for not getting those out each week. I know some of you guys really enjoyed listening to these. So we'll try to get back into the regular routine. Over this past month, we brought in a new trainer here, Emily. She was one of our interns over the spring. So we have, she's joining us. We're excited to have her here on board. And by bringing her in, it's actually allowed us to add some more session times and things like that, doing some noons and some 3 o'clocks. And sometimes when we didn't have sessions before that we're actually filling in and putting in now. So that's something if you need like a lunchtime session and you're... check that out. We'd love to have you there. So today's topic, I'm going to talk to you about reps and the speed of your reps and the tempo. And this is something we get questions on a lot, like how fast should I be going? Should I be pausing? Should I be going faster? Different things like that. And there's really no cut and dry answer on that. It does depend on your goals a little bit. The thing that you don't want to do is just be speeding through the reps and just doing bad form and going too fast. That is a mistake that I see a lot of people make, is they'll just be speeding through reps in each exercise, trying to get to the next one. And a lot of times I think this is, they're trying to keep their heart rate up, and faster isn't better. If when we're lifting, we're not trying to do cardio. That'd be like doing cardio and trying to lift weights at the same time while you're running on the treadmill. Like it's two different kind of two different goals and two different things that we're working on. So when you're lifting, we want that. We want to control the reps. We want to work in a certain tempo. And again, like I said, that tempo is going to depend on the goals. And when we're doing cardio, we want to focus on cardio. So it's not about, with the strength training, keeping your heart rate up and not taking breaks and things like that. We want those breaks in there. We want you to be able to lift as much. We want you to have good form, all that sort of stuff. Because the faster you go, when you're not taking breaks, what happens is fatigue starts to build up. And then that's where form breaks down, and that's where injuries can happen. So here's why it's a good idea to slow down your reps, and will help you get more out of your workouts. When you slow your reps down, and kind of the standard that we like to use is a rep tempo of 2 seconds lowering, a 1 second pause at the bottom of the lift, and then back up, I'm going to say quickly. It doesn't have to be like an explosive, but it's kind of just up quick. What this does is it will places less stress on the joints for a couple reasons. One, you don't need as much weight to create the same challenge. So like if you're going super fast, you're able to handle a little bit more weight, but also that speed and that extra weight is going to put more pressure on the joints. And then that speed, you're kind of just jerking that joint around with it. And especially just as we get older and our bodies, we get, some joints that are cranky, that just doesn't always feel best on it. So when we kind of take 2 seconds to lower it down, pause at the bottom, and then reverse the direction and bring it back up, what that does is it creates a healthier environment for your joints. Also, when we slow the reps down, we tend to create more time under tension. And what this is your muscles really don't know how much you're lifting. They don't know if you have 100 pounds on the bar or 300 pounds on the bar. All they know is how much strain is being placed on them. So if we do like heavyweight, but you're going really fast, you can actually, by going lighter and slowing that down, that set can take longer, and that creates more tension and more time under tension on those muscles. So they have to keep firing and keep straining. So the muscles respond as it's a heavier weight, it's more stress on them and things like that. So that's where this time under tension can get us the same benefit as a heavier weight by just slowing down a little bit. And like I said, when we talk about placing the stress on the joints, the tendons, and ligaments, it takes more effort when we decelerate on to decelerate a movement, and it takes more stress on the joint, or places more stress on the joints and the tendons and ligaments when we decelerate. That's why we want that 2-second pause, or that 2-second lowering portion of it. And that could be 3, that could be 5. There isn't like a clear cut one. I tend to like the 2 kind of second the best, but there's different timing that you can use with that. And this basically slowing this pace down, it's going to lower the weight that we have to use. It's less damaging stress on these tissues. And again, it's going to reduce our risk of injury. And additionally, when you slow the reps down and you pause at the bottom, you're going to create a little bit of a higher cardiovascular demand, which will result in a little bit more muscle fatigue and better overall conditioning. Now, I mentioned about you're not trying to get cardio out of your lifting, and that's true. But what this is doing is creating a conditioning effect on the body that's going to carry over more into what I call work capacity. And this is if you think about carrying a suitcase up a few flights of stairs, or having to drag like some tree limbs and stuff like that that are heavy and they came down. You got to drag them over the burn pile or something like that. Working out in your garden, shoveling gravel, shoveling mulch, different stuff like that. The ability to do that over a long period of time, that's the work capacity. And that's kind of what will happen when we slow those reps down. We create a more cardiovascular demand on the system, and a muscular cardiovascular demand that will improve our work capacity from there. Now, that being said, there are some exercises that you probably don't want to take that 2-second lowering on, or or like 3 or 4, 5 seconds lowering. Typically, those movements are going to be like your hinge movements. So this is going to be like your deadlifts, your RDLs, that sort of stuff. Just because of the stress that gets placed on in that hang position. A barbell bent over row could be the same kind of thing, depending on how much weight, because again, you're in that hinged over position there, where your core has a support, your back's got a support, all that sort of stuff. And that slow deceleration or slow lowering part of it can create high stress on the joints in there and be counterproductive. But like I said, it's really just on like that deadlifting pattern and deadlifting movement. The other movements are all pretty much pretty safe with that. So again, the takeaway here is slow and controlled is better than fast and furious, especially as our bodies get older. And that may mean sacrificing a little bit of weight that we have on the bar to go slow. But again, it's just kind of swallowing your ego a little bit and just keeping your body healthy, because at the end of the day, we're doing this to keep ourselves healthy, to have longevity, to continue doing the things that we enjoy in life. And if we get laid up with an injury, that means it's going to be time out of the gym possibly. And when we have time out of the gym, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, or a couple months, it's going to be deconditioning on the body. And as we get older, that deconditioning happens faster. And one of the worst things that can happen is taking a couple months off because of an injury. We're going to see, the older you are, you're going to see your body and your strength deteriorate even faster than when you were younger and things like that. So our goal is to keep the body healthy, keep you in the gym, keep it strong, keep that longevity going, that youthfulness, all that sort of stuff, and not lose any of that. So next time you're in your workouts, if you're not sure how fast you should be lifting, just ask your coaches, what it is. But a good place to start is 2 seconds on the eccentric, which is the lowering. Pause for 1 second at the bottom of the rep, and then come back up quickly or fast. It doesn't, again, we don't want it like jerking up, but you just want a smooth motion up. You're maybe up in 1 second or half a second, something like that. Another thing that actually just popped in my head here before we go is decreasing the range of motion. We're seeing more and more, especially with over 40 clients, and this is something that myself and Tammy have incorporated into our program, is doing half range of motion on reps. And a lot of times people will think of this as cheating, but it's actually creates more tension on the muscle, or places a little more tension on the muscle, but it keeps the joints out of the extreme range of motion. So, and what I mean by this is, like on a bench press, we're not bringing the bar down to our chest, we're bringing it down to 90 degrees at the elbow. So it might be like 3 inches or so off of our chest, and then pressing up. Same thing on a row, we're coming up to 90 degrees at that elbow. When we're squatting, we're not squatting as deep. We're getting into like just below a quarter squat. So we're not going parallel, things like that. And I'm really finding that my joints, and with clients that are doing this, the joints just feel better than when we're going through a full range of motion and stuff like that too. So that's something else to keep in mind there. But that's all for today. If you guys have any questions, shoot over some messages, put some comment in the comments there. I'll be glad to answer them. But thank you for listening, and I will talk to you here next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and rate and review us.